Hey y'all, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. I want to give you a quick update on a story that we've been following around here about this gentleman, Paul Ingrassia. Gentleman? I guess, okay. This douche canoe, Paul Ingrassia, who I first encountered as a Twitter troll, as a particularly obnoxious brand of Twitter troll, pro-Trump Twitter troll, who publicly pushed all kinds of, really sick men's power type stuff. I mean, one of the things that he had pushed was just this ode to Andrew Tate, sex trafficker who got popular in right-wing circles for a while. He was defending him after he was charged with those crimes against women. From this quote here, he talks about that he has become an enemy in the eyes of the Matrix, the deep state of the satanic elite that attempt to systematically program and oppress all men from womb to tomb. So anyway, that's the kind of material that I was seeing from him, and also just like Trump fangirling, real manly butch alpha omega behavior, just being a total simp for Donald Trump. But anyway, Ingrassia, because all of the weirdest Trump supporters in the world got jobs in Trump 2.0, got a job working at DHS for Kristi Noem's new face. And then he was appointed to a job, a bigger job that was going to require Senate confirmation. And that's when we last encountered him on the show. You might have remembered, we talked about him. The Senate was, for once, bucking Trump. They had concerns about this nomination. And around the time that he was about to have his hearings, Politico dropped this bombshell story about the private texts that he was sending. Now, the private texts were even worse than his terrible public tweets. Among them included him saying that he had a Nazi streak. He wanted to eviscerate every holiday celebrating Black Americans. He was going after MLK Day. He said that you should never trust a Chinaman or an Indian. Kind of interesting, since the vice president's married to an Indian American, his children are Indian, that he would be cool with this guy that they had nominated for a big role, talking about how you can't trust any Indians. If that hasn't rung a bell yet, he was the guy that said the no Mulignan holidays. I'm still saying that wrong. The no Muli holidays. We've heard from all the Italians. This is basically the Italian N-word. He threw out Kwanzaa as well. As I mentioned, MLK Day, Black History Month he's against, Juneteenth, etc. Every single one of them needs to be eviscerated. So that is our man, Paul Ingrassia. I guess I forgot the most important one in all these texts, because, I mean, you shouldn't be giving jobs to dudes that are just sending disgustingly racist texts that are so racist that even people on the chain are saying, like, Jesus Christ, Paul, like MAGAs. It's like an intra-MAGA chain, and the other MAGAs are like, bro, this is even too far for us. But on that chain, this was the one that really stood out to me. We need competent white men in positions of leadership. The founding fathers were wrong that all men are created equal. We need to reject that part of our heritage. So this guy with the worst physiognomy that I've ever seen in my life is deciding that he wants to determine who is the master race, I guess. Morons come around every day. So it's not the kind of person you'd want to spend a lot of time on. So I'm going to keep this video kind of tight. But after that news came out, the Senate Republicans basically said, you don't need to show up for your confirmation hearing. And he was not confirmed to the position. And so, okay, that is the system working as it should. I mean, it's the tiniest win, that a guy who explicitly says that he doesn't think people are created equal, and that we should, it's very explicit that he wants discrimination, should not have a Senate confirmable position in a government, in a pluralistic society, in a free country like America. So it felt like, okay, here you go. This is a story that is worth following because it speaks to just how nasty and racist these MAGAs are in their private texts. But it also speaks to the fact that that maybe there's this like tiniest little baby step towards normalcy, where a guy like this is just so disgusting in every imaginable way, inside and outside, is not going to get rewarded. Is not going to be in a position of public responsibility in our country. Maybe he can go and improve himself and and find a place in private life, whatever. Not trying to send him to a gulag or anything, but in this country, you'd think that somebody like Paul Ingrassia, who's an valid racist and who wants to discriminate against people, can't represent our government in a position that is granted by the public, right? It's a we the people government here in this country. Well, I hate to stamp out any little tiny morsel of good news, but tonight we learned that Paul Ingrassia is getting a promotion. That's right. Ingrassia said Donald Trump, the president of these United States, called him into his office on Wednesday evening to offer him a job working as the deputy counsel in the General Services Administration. We'll get to what that job actually is in a second, but I just want to sit on this crazy thing that a person that works for the government in a position of responsibility was revealed to be a vile, disgusting racist, and was revealed to be a person that believes that the citizens that he's serving should be discriminated against based on skin color, based on sexuality, based on sex, and he gets called into the president's office. And he gets called in, and the president is not there to say to him, hey, that's not how we do things in America. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The president, he's not coming to the president's office for the president to say, hey, let's talk about these. These texts are inappropriate, right? You don't agree with that. We're going to have to put you on a suspension or a probation. No. He gets called into the president's office. The president of the United States looks at him and says, you, this little Italian guy that is an avowed white nationalist that wants to take out the calipers and judge people's merit based on their genes, I am going to give you a raise. I want to reward you. These other cucks, these wimps over in the Senate that wouldn't confirm you. That's not me. That's not the president. The buck stops with me, and I'm going to reward a noxious racist that is a simp for sex traffickers. By the way, this guy has no skill. But he also has no resume. He graduated from Cornell Law like 2 minutes ago, and he's like a child. He's a man-child. So it's not as if, he has these terrible views, but he's also a really deep expert in AI or something. No. He offers nothing. He's a moron and a buffoon. And the president gives him this promotion. So anyway, the GSA, he's going to be the deputy counsel. The GSA basically, they manage our federal buildings and real estate. They do IT services. Basically it's like the main HR department of the government, like kind of coordinating acquisitions, procurement, what's happening across all of the agencies. What expertise this person would have in this, I have no idea. The idea that somebody who is explicitly pro-discrimination should be like reviewing contracts, and like reviewing choices that are made about government buildings is absolutely insane. But that's what's going to be happening. That's where we're at. Paul Ingrassia gets a promotion. So that's what. Also, just one last thing. That's how the president's spending his time right now. A lot of people are suffering out there right now. A lot of you're hearing increasing concerns about a variety of things. We've all talked about how much affordability matters right now. The cost of people's health care costs are going up. So they didn't cut a deal with the Democrats on the shutdown. Across the board, you have Americans who feel like things aren't going the way that they want them to go. And the president has various levers that he could use to fix that. And how he's spending his time is putting up bullion art and like cheesecake factory drawings on the White House and, new big flag poles. And he's meeting with little racists to let them know that they get a promotion. That's what he's spending his time on. So hopefully you feel good that the ship of state is heading the right direction, knowing that. That's it. Subscribe to the feed. We always want to let you know what's happening. If we mention something, we mention a story, we want to make sure we want to put a bow on it. If there's not a happy ending, we want to make sure you know the reality of what is happening in our government. That's my service to you. Subscribe to the feed, like, comment, let me know what you think. We'll be seeing you all soon.